Okay, so yes, I am going to try and do this whole entire review with this accent. I know this Irish accent is terrible, but screw it. I love the Irish accent. I love the culture. I love Irish. I love everything about it. So you know what? I'm going to try and keep on doing this whole entire accent. So yeah, let's get into it. So our movie begins the best way it can with a young monk chasing around a goose so it can get feathers. Um, Epic opening? Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't do this accent anymore. This is a really hard accent, so nope, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Sorry, I just really can't. I can do it on my own, but for some reason when I'm trying to focus on doing a review, I can't keep it. So yeah, sorry, I can't keep on doing that accent, but I won't keep on doing the review with my normal voice. So yeah, the movie opens up with a young monk named Brandon chasing around a goose so it can get its feathers to make a feather quill pen. Okay, amazing opening idea. And then they go back and they don't even modify the feather. They just accept it as the feather and just say, hey, we have a feather quill pen now. Yeah, that's not how it works. There has to be a tip on it, and you have to make that one manually. You can't just say, hey, I found a feather. I have a feather quill pen now. I can write stuff with it. That's not how it works. I've made a feather quill pen before, and that is not how it's done. But anyway, we find out that apparently they can't even really focus on making these books with their stupid we have feathers so we must have feather quill pens because apparently they need to devote all their time to building a wall, which they are with the archdeacon, who apparently has been obsessed with this for quite some time now. Yeah, his room is honestly full of just blueprints for this. He doesn't even know that if they're gonna attack them or not. Really, they don't expect any attacks coming soon. But I guess safe is better than being sorry. But still, that seems kind of like a lot of work to put in on the off chance that the Vikings might attack you. But we do find out that apparently they will be attacking them. Yeah, okay. But they still didn't know this was gonna happen. Unless they got like a letter from this guy or something. But the reason that they might be attacking is because of Aiden. Another one of the monks who has been working on a book, the Book of Ayanna, for quite some time now. And now, pretty much, he needs their help after Ayanna, the place where the book's name come from, has now been attacked by the Vikings. So they let him stay there, and he pretty much says, this wall isn't gonna protect you guys at all, because when these Vikings come, all you can do is run. And, yeah, that's kind of a dark undertone there, but I'm sure it won't get dark at all. Not in the slightest. So then Brandon meets up with Aiden and he talks about the book for a bit and decides, hey, I want in on this. So he goes out for the very first time outside these walls, apparently. Yeah, they say that his parents died, but, or at least they might have died or left him, I don't know. But yeah, did they never take him outside of the walls? Did they live in Kells? In which case, I don't really think it'd be that hard to find them again. It's a pretty small town. Pretty sure, like a 2-day search, you can find your parents again there, Brandon. No? Just keep to staying inside the walls? Okay. But anyway, he goes outside for the very first time in his life. Still don't get that. And he immediately gets attacked. I can see why he never goes outside these walls. But luckily he meets up with the magical, annoying creature, Ashling, who says, hey, I'll help you find these berries that you need for ink if you just never come back, because I don't like you. That's why I'm going to help you. So they meet up. So she helps him out in finding berries. She gives an incredibly forced laugh, and then they climb a tree. And apparently now they're best friends because reasons. So yeah, now Brandon's pretty much completely filled in on the writing of the book thing. So now apparently he's a part of it. So he can start writing the book because Aiden's getting kind of old and he's not really the best at writing anymore. So Brandon's just like, yeah, okay, fine, I guess I'll start writing in some of your book, even though I'm not really the best drawer as you are, but yeah, I guess no one will notice. Yeah, I did a little bit of research on the book of Kells, and one of the main things that was noticeable about it is how it went down with three different writers. Yeah, it apparently was very easy to notice where the pages and authors would change. So yeah, nobody noticed Brandon's additions to it. So pretty much his uncle, the archdeacon, apparently doesn't approve of this. Mainly because he's going outside the wall to meet up with Ashling. But eventually he does find out that he's apparently now is allowed to be able to write the book, so his father locking him in a cellar isn't gonna stop him. But of course something is lost, which is the Eye of Crom, which he gets a little illustration of on his hand. That explains that. So that obviously means go into the woods, because luckily there was a cave with Crom in it to snatch his eye. Foolproof. So he goes out and eventually does get the eye after a very creepy warning from Ashling, but I guess that she wasn't that terrified of this cave because she still helps him out with it. And then she's pretty much gone for a good chunk of the movie. Yeah, she's the main part of the poster, but she disappears like halfway through. After that, we only see her twice. Yeah, I really don't get that. It's like the Les Miserables poster. It's just kind of misleading. But anyway, she helps out Brandon in getting the eye, only to find out that Ashling might have died or disappeared because she left flowers behind, so I guess that means that she's fine. And Brandon goes back into town, and his uncle somehow never noticed that his nephew was gone. I don't know. So yeah, he never decides to go check on his nephew. How lucky. So Brandon is now able to work on the book 24/7 without taking any breaks. Does he ever need to use the bathroom or eat or drink? No, just stay there writing a book. Okay. And pretty much eventually his uncle does find out about it, because drawing in a book apparently got a fan base started, and his uncle snatches him away from the place, so that then that will stop him from going there. Yeah, that'll work. But apparently he was lucky enough to find out about this right as the Vikings start to attack. How convenient. So he just says, stay in here, don't worry, the unfinished wall will hold. And this is where the movie takes a really dark turn. Like, they would cut back to the Vikings every now and then, showing their progress from Iona to Kells, but this is where the movie really gets dark. Because once they get in Kells, yeah, they break down the wall really easily. The wall was almost complete. How would they break it down so easily? Like, really, it only takes like 3 hits and then they're down. Really. Great job on that wall there. So, apparently the wall didn't hold, but everyone immediately starts running. Yeah, that was a good idea. Hey, let's run out to the open so then they can notice us instead of staying in the security of our huts. We're geniuses in this town. And to no surprise, the Vikings notice. So, now that the Vikings have noticed this, what are they going to do? Run up some unfinished stairs to their deaths. Yeah, really. Only like a quarter of the people that were running up the stairs get inside. The rest, the thing is burnt down and we see them falling to their deaths. Fiery, or just getting impaled on the broken wood, or just, impact deaths. I told you that this is where it got dark. Oh, and also, the Archdeacon, who actually did become kind of likable. Yeah, guess what happened to him now? He's been stabbed and shot with a flaming arrow. All while trying to save his nephew, who apparently just ended up running away. Yeah, at least he wasn't as brave as his uncle, I guess. So, he runs away because a coward gets to see another day, but eventually the Vikings do catch up with him and Aiden, but luckily Aisling comes around with her whole entire amount of wolf army. Oh yeah, and Aisling's a wolf now. I have no idea when that happened. Did it happen after she looked into Crom's cave? They never explain this, it just happened. And pretty much she gives him a nod, and that's all they need to know it's Aisling. And they might kill the Vikings. They might have killed them, or they just ran away. Either way, that's still pretty dark. So, then we meet up with the Archdeacon again, who apparently is been bedridden this whole time after that whole entire flaming arrow and the stabbing thing, which I'm still surprised that he survived. Really, he got shot with a flaming arrow and then impaled. How do you survive that? But apparently I'm the idiot because he can just walk that off, I guess. And somehow the oldest of the monks is still caring for him. What is it, Yoda or something? And then we meet up with Brandon again, who apparently has now finally finished up the book, is now looking like Obi-Wan Kenobi when he was played by Ewan McGregor for some reason. Why does he look like this? I don't know. And he finally lets us see the book. Yeah, just one page of the book. And yeah, this is the most famous page, and they do give it a very accurate representation of what it looks like. So, yeah, I'll give them that. They do pretty good with that. And then I think that the Archdeacon dies, and our movie comes to a close. So, what do I think about this movie? Well, or at least about the story. It has a very big range in tone. Yeah, this is one thing that I've always noticed when, especially after I watched this movie again. And it still does get to me that this movie has a lot of different tones. one second it'll be nice and cheery, and Aiden and Ash and Brandon and Aisling are running through a forest. Then all of a sudden, this shows up. Yeah, really, there was no transition into that. I'm not even making that up. That's how the movies would transition. Just walking through a forest, having a little bit of fun, then immediate death from the Vikings. Seriously, they would just cut to this at random. Really, that's just how it worked. I honestly have more of a transition there, because I at least brought up they would go into this. In the movie, nope, it would just be like, hey, we're running through a field, Vikings killing people. Just like, it happens out of nowhere. To me, they really need to get down the transition aspect. Like, maybe show the looming threat of the Vikings instead of just randomly cutting to them. And yeah, I can see how that would have a bit more of an impact to it as to why they would want to cut back to that. But, and then it would just be like a huge impact when they actually do get to Kells. But to me, I think they needed a little bit more of a way into that. Other movies like Paranorman work more into the creepiness, and they wait and let you sit with it. To me, this one just cuts right into the darker aspects, and it really has no transition. But outside of that, I do think that overall the story is pretty good and does hold up on its own. I just wish that it had more of a transition into its other storylines. Because to me, it's all over the place with that with the sort of atmosphere to it. Because it'll either go from being rather uplifting at times, being really goofy, or just being incredibly dark to the point where you're wondering whether or not this movie should be PG-13. Really, I don't even get what the transition was with that. It just all of a sudden gets into death. And they kill off quite a few people, and they don't really just say, like, no, there's nothing good about this. Like, they're all freaking dead. Now, I'm not one who likes dumbing things down for kids. To me, I just think that's rather silly, but wait, you didn't even try. Like, at least other movies will try. Here, you're just like, death, it happens, get used to it, you will die one day. I'm just like, I know that, but why do you have to show it? Like, I think they could have showed it in a better way. Because the way they go from just being more lighthearted to just being incredibly dark, I just don't know how they do that. It just really has no real transition into it, and I feel like there really should have been. And that's a major issue to me, because they do cut back to this quite a lot, and they do this a lot. So, I honestly think that I needed more of a transition into it. But outside of that, it is a pretty good movie, and I do like showing how they took a much more obscure thing like the Book of Kells, unless if you're in Ireland, in which case it's apparently one of the major artifacts there. Yeah, like I said, I did a bit of research on this thing, and it's apparently one of Ireland's biggest artifacts, so yeah. But anywhere else, really, you don't really hear about it or anything, but I will say it is a beautiful book, and they did actually give some really good build-up to this. Like, the whole entire movie, they show the characters just flipping through the book. And you're just wondering, okay, what the heck does this thing look like? You keep on describing that's the work of angels, and that's beautiful. I'm just like, I want to see it. Please just show me it. And at the end, they do finally give in, and they show it to you, and they do a pretty good representation of the most famous page from the book, but there are still some pretty big differences. Like, this is what the book looks like in the movie, and this is what it looks like in real life. Yeah, quite a few differences there, huh? But anyway, I think I'm story a 5 out of 10. I think that needed a bit more work on his transitions because they didn't really work into anything. Just, hey, there's something good going on. Oh, well, now here's death for you. And yeah, to me, this happens quite a lot, and it's a pretty big issue, but the story itself is pretty interesting, and I do like how they work with it. I just think that needed quite a bit more work for it to actually be a pretty good movie and have a good story going along with it. But anyway, I still give it a 5 out of 10. It does do pretty good. Again, I just think that needs some more work and more polishing up to actually get some more transitions that would actually seem fitting. But outside of that, I think that the story's pretty solid. So, let's look into the characters. So, when it comes down to the characters, we're of course going to start off with the main one, Brandon, who I think is pretty boring, actually. Yeah, there's not really that much to him outside of he went outside. Yeah, that's his big character development. He went outside of a wall. Engaged yet? No? Bummer then. I feel so bad for you. I thought him leaving a wall was really engaging. Yeah, as you can tell, that was pretty lame character development. And that's his whole character development there. Engaging. And after that, he doesn't really do that much until, well, really, when the Vikings attack. And then, I will say, he does act out pretty good in how he feels about leaving his uncle behind. But then after that, when he's running through the woods, he doesn't care anymore, so, whatever. So I guess he didn't really care that much about his uncle. But I still do think that he had more room for character being adapted, but at least I don't hate him, and I was worried for him when the Vikings did attack, so yeah, I can at least say I cared. Then after him we have Aiden, the most irresponsible monk ever. Really. This monk is irresponsible. He sends Brandon out to do what? Go get berries in the middle of wolf-infested forests. Now you could make the argument he just didn't know about the wolves. Well, he had to go through the woods to get into Kells. How would he have not bumped into a single one of those wolves if they see a kid and automatically think, hey, there's our meal? Really, I doubt that that's what they would be doing. Like, did they just wait out for him to leave? Like, well, he's old. Let's not eat him. Let's wait for the newer meat to come in. Really? Why didn't they attack him there? But yeah, outside that, I do still like Aiden's character, and I think that he is a likable one. I just do kind of question some of his choices. But outside that, I do think that he is a fun character, and he kind of reminds me of Merlin from the Sorcerer's, from, I don't know, what was it? The Sword and the Stone? Yeah, the Disney one? Yeah, he reminds me of him a lot, so if you enjoyed that version of Merlin, chances are you might enjoy this guy. Then after him we have Selak, I don't care. The Archdeacon. And I gotta say, this is the best character in the movie. To me, this character does have a lot of fleshing out to him. We get to see every reason as to why he's obsessed with building this wall. Why is he obsessed with it? Because he wants to protect everyone in Kells. Everyone looks up to him. Everyone sees him as the guy to go to when you need protection and everything like that. So it makes complete sense as to why he would want to build this wall. They explain him very well, and I think that he probably gets the most character development out of the whole entire cast. All the other characters, they get some development if they're important, but him, I think that he got the most. Too bad I I can't pronounce his name, but I think that he really did the most character development. You really did feel for him whenever he got shot with that arrow and stabbed. Then I was honestly just like, no, don't kill him, don't. Damn it. Sorry, I just cussed there, sorry. But, hopefully you didn't hear that because I very slowly whispered it. But pretty much, I did enjoy his character. I really think that he had a lot of development to him, and all of his reasoning made sense. And in the end, I also felt really bad for him whenever I saw him on that bed. Also, I grabbed the cuss. So, yeah, I honestly really liked Dane's character, and he was by far the best part of the movie to me. So then after him, we of course look at one of the worst characters in the movie, the monks. Wow, these characters have no identity. Really. They're just there for comedy relief. They even end up hilariously by having the Vikings try to kill them. It's funny because death, I guess? I don't know. But really, I just thought these characters really have no reasoning in the movie outside just hijinks, and that's pretty much everything to them. So then after them we have Northmen, who I think as minor side characters, they're probably the best. Now, they really do portray the actual Vikings and everything sort of accurately though, actually. Yeah, they kind of portray them semi-accurate. They were murderers. And yeah, they pillaged a lot. So yeah, in that depiction, they do portray them very well. They portray them as monstrous, barbaric people. And while I don't know enough about Vikings to know if that's incredibly accurate or not, I do at least know that for the feel of the movie and everything, they did make them in a way that I think it fit into the movie perfectly. To me, the Northmen are probably some of the creepiest villains I have ever seen. Really. These guys, they are all kept in the shadows, and in a way, they're villains who succeed. Yeah. I mean, when you get down to it, what did they want to do? They wanted to get the book, and they also wanted to pillage. They did that. Granted, when they got the book, they could care less about it, but they still got it. If it weren't for the wolves, they would have freaking succeeded. I don't know what message this is trying to send here, but yeah, the villains kind of succeeded. They are and I really do think these guys are some of the creepiest kid villains. Like, for a kids movie, these guys are really dark, and I think that it really worked in the film's advantage. So then after them we have Aisling. Oh my god. I really don't like Aisling. I mean, really, to me, she was just kind of annoying. Her voice actress, while a kid, so I guess you can cut her some slack. Oh, and also the voice actor for Brandon, he was also played by a kid. So it is kind of cool to see that, continuing in this company's trend, they are putting kid actors in kid roles. So I do like how they do that, but yeah, to me, I just never really got into Aisling's character. She just always kind of bored me. Like, some of her lines feel really forced, and yeah, it's a kid, but come on. Brandon's doing a better job, and he kind of sounds like a robot at times, so come on. You can at least try and act. But at least I didn't hate her. I still think that she was alright, but I just really do think that she needed more of a character outside of she laughs a lot and she's happy, unless if she meets up with the Eye of Crom, in which case she's terrified. Yeah, to me, the character was just all over the place and had no real focus agenda. Just like, hey, you can't be in my forest because reasons. Now get out of my forest. Oh wait, we climbed a tree together. You can come back anytime you want. Really, that just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, she's a kid, but the movie does also state that she's apparently lived for quite some time, so you could also make the argument that she's not a kid, in which case, why does she not even know what ink is? Really, what's the point of that? Why does she not know what ink is? You would think that she would know what ink is, but nope, ink apparently eludes her. Because why wouldn't it? The only point where I actually did find myself caring about her and actually getting engaged in her character is when she starts talking about her family. To me, the actress does pull through, and I do at least find myself entertained by the character, and I do want to learn more about her past. But outside of that, I just didn't really get into her, and she was pretty boring to me. So after her, we have Langer Bomb, whatever. This cat. It's a cat. It has a song devoted to it. There's its whole character. Aren't you engaged? So, I'm going to give the characters a 6 out of 10. I do think that some of them are pretty likable, and while I do think that about half of them are pretty pointless or just don't really go anywhere, or make you think that they're gonna go somewhere, then don't. I just really do think that they need to work out some of the characters more and give them more of a point, and they did work this out much more in the Song of the Sea, but this was still their first movie, so I do give them a bit of leeway, and for their first film, I do think that they developed the characters pretty well, and did get me interested in some. So, yeah, 6 out of 10, I think they did pretty good. So now let's go on to by far the best part of the movie, the animation. The animation in this movie is beautiful. Everything in it just looks amazing. They found a way to take minor little things, even a piece of paper, and make it look amazing and detailed. This movie was also hand-drawn, digitally, if that makes any sense. Pretty much, they drew it on a digital piece of paper, pretty much. And yes, that they technically did do it in hand-drawn style, and it really does look amazing. And sometimes it does kind of look kind of choppy, but outside of that, it looks amazing. It's incredibly detailed. The colors are vibrant and very beautiful to look at. And it does actually fit in really well into the overall story. And the animation even changes at times to sort of get you into the head of the main character, Brandon. And that's kind of cool. I do like how they do that, and they incorporate that. They even found a way of drawing on chalk and making that become animated. Yeah, I have never seen that be animated before, but it looked amazing. So, I honestly really do love this animation. 10 out of 10. It's by far the best part of the movie. I just think it's all around beautiful. So, what do I think of this movie overall? Well, it most certainly has its flaws. Like, the story, it can go from being lighthearted to dark in a few seconds. And to quote Bayless, transition! Who needs them? So, yeah, that's a major issue to me, and I don't really think that they resolved it until Song of the Sea. But it does still have a good impact into it, and I do think that kids shouldn't just be talked down to. But it is kind of a weird way to go about it if you just say, hey, death, this happened, okay, now back onto the happy stuff for you. It just doesn't really have a coherent medium with that. And some of the characters aren't really the best, but there are a lot of them that I do still enjoy. The animation animation, though, it does definitely stand out, and it's by far the best part of the film. So, for The Secret of Kells, I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. I do think that there were some flaws that need to be worked out with it, and as the studio was going on, they did work these out. I do still enjoy it, though. I did think that for the story that I was trying to tell, it did well. I just think that there were some issues with it that need to be fixed. So that's pretty much it. Next week, I'll be looking at The Sixth Sense. Bye.